What game is fun every time and has one of the most satisfying soundtracks of all time?
Wave Race!
Oh yeah! Let's take a look at Wave Race 64 and Wave Race Blue Storm, ranking all of their beautiful courses from worst to best. Sit back, cool off, and let's dive in. All courses in this list were judged by 3 categories: aesthetics, buoy placement, and variety per difficulty level. If you don't know what that last one means, you'll find out soon enough. Coming in at number 17.
Welcome to Dolphin Park.
The legendary Dolphin Park on the N64. Why is it the worst course even though it's still awesome? Well, it's not a course. It's just a fantastic training arena, so nostalgia goggles and cool dolphins aside, it doesn't really deserve to be called the best. But let's move on to the real racetracks. Number 16.
Welcome to Arctic Bay.
Arctic Bay of Blue Storm. Unlike the glacier-themed level in Wave Race 64, this one is pretty dull, especially on the easiest difficulty. There's a cool wave from a chunk of fallen ice at one point, but that's really it. The saving grace is the awesome-looking cave on expert difficulty, but that's not enough to propel this course to the grandiose levels of the franchise's other tracks on offer. Sorry, Arctic Bay. Number 15.
Welcome to La Razza Canal.
La Razza Canal from Blue Storm. This is one tight turn after another down the canals of some Venice-inspired town, and man, can it be difficult. But like any difficult course, it does feel good to have a clean run through it, and smashing through bistro tables is quite fun. It's an aesthetically pleasing place with a sunset atmosphere on hard and a nighttime ambiance for the expert level reroute. But it's just a little too frustrating with the constant sharp turns, planting it near the bottom of this list. That said though, this is a great example of how even the worst levels of the Wave Race franchise are still awesome. Number 14.
Welcome to Sunny Beach.
Sunny Beach on the N64. This is a great little oval course that fulfills its purpose, but that's also its downfall. It does a fantastic job introducing new players to racing on waves, but even on expert difficulty, it's little more than a training course, meaning there's not much excitement to really speak of. But the music and graphics are a blissful experience every time. If you press start enough when you boot up Wave Race 64, you're gonna keep on playing, and this is the introductory reason why. Number 13.
Welcome to Dolphin Park.
Dolphin Park from Blue Storm. The N64 classic got a gorgeous overhaul for the sequel, now full of coral reefs and what appears to be very clean water. And it's now even a proper racetrack to boot. But it goes beyond its function as an introductory level. In free roam mode, if you boost out of bounds, you can discover an eerie circle of buoys that acts like a wave pool, generating non-stop salty rolls to eat if you're hungry for drowning. And that's cool. Coming in at the number 12 spot.
Welcome to Strongwater Keep.
Strongwater Keep of Blue Storm, an awesome stage featuring a central castle that you can enter via a gate and then bust through a stained glass window. This track is the final unlockable course of Blue Storm, meaning it's only available on expert difficulty, therefore lacking very buoy placement or any other course changes. That's not to say it's a bad level at all. In fact, in stormy weather, this is one of my favorite tracks to race on. But we've got to play by the rules I set forth at the beginning of this video and consider more varied tracks. Speaking of, coming in at number 11.
Welcome to Lost Temple Lagoon.
Lost Temple Lagoon from Blue Storm. On the easiest difficulty, this level's nothing more than a decorated oval that pales in comparison to the previously mentioned Strongwater Keep. But it's the variety between difficulties where this course really earns its stripes. On hard, the entire environment changes to sunset, and the oval is cut open, leading you behind a boat and through a safari wall where elephants wait to cheer you on, until ultimately reconnecting to the start of the normal oval. On expert difficulty, the safari section is sealed off, forcing a new buoy layout in front of the previously mentioned boat. When I first played these harder difficulties, I was shocked at how big this level suddenly was. I believe Lost Temple Lagoon is the most varied course in all of the Wave Race franchise due to these drastic detours between difficulties. Number 10.
Welcome to Glacier Coast.
Glacier Coast from Wave Race 64. Unlike Arctic Bay of Blue Storm, this track is actually fun as well as kind of challenging. The water looks really nice with light blue and white reflections bouncing off of it, and the second turn is a really unique skid across a giant sheet of ice that will throw you off your jet ski if you turn too sharply. Do it right though, and it feels so fluid and all around great. Next up is a minefield of small icebergs and patches of ice that really test your ability to weave and maintain speed. As a kid, I hated this level, but now that I'm older, I welcome the challenge and the tranquil atmosphere that is heightened by the outstanding soundtrack. It's really not even that hard of a course. I wish I could actually rank this course higher, but there's so many other good courses in this franchise, and to play by the rules I set forth at the start of the video, Glacier Coast is an expert-only track, meaning it has only one buoy layout, which is lacking the variety needed to claim a higher spot on this list. Number 9.
Welcome to Drake Lake.
Drake Lake on the N64, a course I'd love to rank higher because it's so peaceful and great every time. The selling point of this track is the lifting fog effect. Lap 1 is covered in a thick shroud, but each subsequent lap it lifts until the final lap where it is completely clear. It sets the atmosphere of this otherwise straightforward course in a way that is most welcome every time. The buoys force some skilled maneuvering out of you, which can be frustrating or fun depending on your ability, and the final turn is littered with pieces of a broken dock, creating one final challenge to stay afloat every single lap. Playing on the reverse difficulty adds variety by placing all the most challenging sections at the start, leaving the end wide open for a last-ditch top-speed effort to win. I absolutely love this course every time! Number 8.
Welcome to Aspen Lake.
Aspen Lake of Blue Storm. This place beats Drake Lake almost unfairly, as the GameCube graphics and weather system really give life to the otherwise peaceful pond. The perimeter is lush with fall foliage, and the fog lifting effect of Drake Lake is not only copied, but amplified. Under rainy conditions, the weather takes a dynamic turn for the worse. Lap 2 gets eerily dark, and the final lap is greeted with a huge bolt of lightning as heavy rains come pouring down. Just like Drake Lake, the buoys place emphasis on weaving between not only them, but a plethora of rocks as well. Yet there is also still a spacious feeling to the place that its predecessor lacked. This is one of the most beautiful tracks in the entire franchise to me, and the variety on every weather setting is a joy to experience. 7th place!
Welcome to Marine Fortress.
Marine Fortress on the N64. This was the first ever course to introduce stormy skies and choppy seas, and the buoy placement on every difficulty makes sure you feel it, as each turn forces you straight into waves of various sizes, as well as scattered debris. On hard and higher, a gate opens up on lap 2, revealing a hidden tunnel that throws you all around, dumping out right at the finish line. This track is always hectic to suit the stormy ambiance, and the aggressive AI racers and heavy music complement that mood. It is always a welcome challenge to shake up the peaceful tone of all the prior Wave Race 64 tracks, and it earns this higher spot on the list for never easing up on the speed and intensity. Number 6.
Welcome to Ocean City Harbor.
Ocean City Harbor from Blue Storm. Honestly, I'd prefer to rank this one lower, but it has a lot of elements at play boosting it up. The stage combines all the best elements of Marine Fortress, Twilight City, and Port Blue from Wave Race 64, pitting you in a huge shipyard located in some major city. As you weave between crates, buoys, ramps, and boats, you eat a lot of big waves, especially under stormy weather, which in my opinion is the only way to play this course. On hard, a really awesome tunnel with blue lights opens up, and then you are forced to ride a huge rolling wave as it pushes two giant ships close together, giving off the illusion that you're about to get crushed. Expert difficulty takes you through the level backwards, adding in tons of ramps and opening up this level's biggest secret passage. Behind one of two hidden gratings that can only be smashed on this expert difficulty is a very long, greenish-yellow tunnel, the upper path of which has two possible pathways, whereas the lower grating is home to the longest tunnel in the franchise. Unfortunately, this thing has little purpose in a race, as it makes you miss at least 3 buoys, which is very disappointing for such an awesome shortcut. I always love watery tunnels, and this course doesn't let me down. Overall, however, the course isn't always the best, as the water level either rises or shrinks every lap depending on the weather, often making ramps behave like a fatal collision instead of a jump. But the combination of stormy nighttime weather, huge waves, city lights, and awesome tunnels provides one of the best stages Blue Storm has to offer, with enough variety to stay interesting. Number 5.
Welcome to Twilight City.
Twilight City on the N64, also known as Castle City. I love the atmosphere of this place, as it puts you on a late-night cruise through a castle town full of spotlights, giving the feeling that some kind of nightlife is happening while you race. The best part is the tunnel at the very start, which on hard requires jumping on a ramp over a castle wall, and on expert requires diving underwater, which is awesome. The reward is a beautifully textured tunnel with reflections bouncing off the water. Every buoy also casts off some light, and when combined with the music, it all just oozes tranquility. The level always kind of reminds me of water shows where they light up various fountains in some kind of artistic display, and I just love the combination of all these things. When I race it, I usually zone out and start daydreaming of waterfront vacations. This course is all you need, man. 4th place!
Welcome to Port Blue.
Port Blue on the N64. This track features some heavy rock music and forces you around a shipyard much like Ocean City Harbor. On normal, it's not too special, but on hard and above, a second tunnel opens up, and you know how I love these watery tunnels. The thing twists and turns all around, creating an awesome echo effect and tight-quartered chaos with the other racers before ultimately dumping sharply out against a giant ship and rolling waves. The final turn features a huge ramp that tries to throw you away from the finish line, creating a challenge to turn sharply but not overdo it. On reverse difficulty, once again, the tunnel is the highlight, and the buoys seem to reflect that. The tunnel entrance features 3 right side buoys while the exit features 3 left side ones, creating just the right amount of variety on something familiar while still creating a frantic push for the finish line. I love this course every time, as it shares a similar relentless sense of intensity as Marine Fortress, but with more interesting course elements. 3rd place!
Welcome to Sunset Bay.
Sunset Bay on the N64. This wonderfully orange level is a sunny delight on every difficulty, introducing just enough buoys to keep the straightaways interesting and add flavor to the turns, such as forcing you to stay as far left as possible. The first turn features a ramp and a decorative boat, and from there it's just the right amount of choppy waves coming in at angles to keep it fun. The final turn buoy placement is a fun left-to-right weave every time. Reverse difficulty alters the course enough to make it feel unique, most notably requiring dodging the ramp, weaving between it and the boat just before a very tight right turn that just feels great to get. Overall, the atmosphere of this place is just very soothing, and the course layout is simple fun every time, and I can't help but think of Orange Kool-Aid whenever I see it. When someone mentions Wave Race, this stage almost always pops into my head. 2nd place!
Welcome to Southern Island.
Blue Storm's revamped version of Southern Island. The iconic staple from Wave Race 64 looks outstanding this time around, and it also adds some variety on expert difficulty by placing the buoys far out and around the pirate ship. Due to the turbo boost feature, you can now launch well over the dock or plow straight through the dock, or you can go the classic way and dive right under it. Under stormy conditions, the waves of this place get absolutely nuts. You'll be pressing B like a madman just to try to keep your watercraft on the surface of the water, creating an adrenaline-boosted run through an otherwise peaceful level. One interesting thing to note is that there's a hidden ramp on the very first straightaway that is far too impractical to use on anything but normal difficulty, due to the rerouted buoys. But on normal and in free roam, just hitting the thing grants you a free turbo boost that launches you right over top of the sunken ship. It's just an interesting new addition to the track worth noting. And finally, 1st place goes to...
Welcome to Southern Island.
The original Southern Island from Wave Race 64. This place opens up with unforgettable music to blanket the experience with beautiful thematic closure. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles of Blue Storm because the main course concepts are masterful in themselves. From the first turn, you float over top a sunken ship, then bank between sunken signposts and go flying up a ramp for a beautiful dive underneath the dock just before turning onto lap 2. As you cross the line, high tide recedes and now the sunken ship has arisen, requiring jumping it with a ramp. Likewise, the signposts are now standing as obstacles, and on harder difficulties are coupled by a set of 3 high-rolling waves. The dock ramp is now inaccessible, opening up safe passage underneath it as you turn onto the final lap and the tide recedes even further for one last challenge of staying off the sandy banks as the music picks up to complement the ending moments of the championship. I absolutely love this course every time. It is the perfect level to end the game on, and I can't think of one bad thing to say about it. Even if it's only been featured in 2 games, I think this level has earned icon status in the realm of video game racetracks. When anyone thinks about Wave Race, this is the very first stage that comes to mind, and for good reason. So there you have it. That's all the courses of Wave Race 64 and Wave Race Blue Storm ranked from worst to best. Do you agree with my list? Feel free to share yours in the comments, and here's to hoping this franchise makes its return on modern consoles very soon. I'm Bill from Good Old Days Gaming. See you later.